Hi guys, how are you today? I talked to some of you earlier today and some of you last week, and I'm going to see some of you tomorrow. So that's really fun. I like seeing you guys. Make sure you keep sending me emails and pictures. And if you want to have a meeting, let mommy and daddy know, and I'll meet with you anytime you want, okay? All right, so this week at school, we would have talked about Earth Day. And Earth Day is tomorrow, April 22nd. And on that day, we talk about taking care of our Earth. And there are three main ways to do that. You can reduce, reuse, and recycle. So reduce is to reduce the amount of plastic that we waste, reduce how much we're throwing away. So instead of buying brand new soap bottles every time, maybe you buy one new soap bottle and then a big jug to refill that one. That's one way to reduce. Reuse, sometimes we use all different kinds of things in other ways. So sometimes people use bottles to make wind chimes, or you might use, I use jars to put candles in or to put buttons in. So there's different ways to reuse things. And recycle, a lot of you probably recycle at home where you save all of your plastic and glass and you send it to the recycling plant, and they take all the glass and they smash it up and then they melt it, and it makes brand new glass. They can make a brand new jar out of that. And I have a story I want to read to you, and in this story there's an animal that reuses things in a really funny way. But before I read the story, I'm going to let Kate show you the guinea pig because he's out eating over here. That is Tilly, the guinea pig that I've talked to you guys about. You guys see Tilly? He's out here in the family room with us, so he's making noise in the background. All right, we ready, Kate? Okay, so our book about an animal that reuses things in a funny way is called Norman, the Silly Slug with the Silly Shell. And here is Norman, and this looks like a snail, doesn't it? It looks like a picture of a snail, and this is by Sue Hendra. But this is not a snail. This is a slug. And look, here is string. And what does he have tied on his back? A donut. So he is reusing an old donut to be a shell. So let's see what other silly shells he comes up with. He is very good at reusing things. But I'm not sure a donut makes a perfect shell. Let's find out. Norman, the Slug thought snails were great. Wow, said Norman. Look at them. They're amazing. And he saw all the snails piled up. Oh, he wanted to be one so badly. But unfortunately, the snails didn't think Norman was great. Whee! Here's Norman jumping to join them. Crash! And he crashed into their pyramid. Norman, you silly slug, they cried. You've spoiled our fun. This only works if you've got a shell. Norman felt left out. Sadly, he skulked off into the moonlight. Here is Norman walking, and here is a moon in the sky, and down here there's water. Do you see in the reflection? Look, looks like Norman has a shell, doesn't it? If only I had a shell of my own, he sighed. And he looked at his reflection. And that's when he had an idea. Maybe I could have a shell after all, he thought. Okay. But finding a shell was not as easy as it sounded. One shell was too bouncy. What is that one? Tennis ball. And one was too noisy. You see it? It's an alarm clock. And one was already taken. It's an apple look, and there's a worm already living in that one. Norman needed time to think. Ta-da! A shell, he said. It was perfect. Norman had never been happier. He could join the snails at last. What a beautiful shell that is, isn't it? Pink with sprinkles. Norman loved being a snail, and the snails loved Norman's silly shell. Look, they all think it's great. Yay, he's happy. Everybody's happy. Do you see who's coming? What animal is that? A bird, and the bird is flying down. But the fun didn't last for long. Suddenly there was a loud flapping of wings. Look out! Bird! Cried the snails in panic. Quick, slither for your lives, or we'll end up as supper. Which one do you think that the bird is going to eat? Birds like donuts, don't they? Oh dear! But the bird was more interested in Norman's silly shell. It looked delicious. Norman was being carried up, up, up and away, higher and higher into the sky. What could he do? I want you guys to think for a minute. What could he do? Let's see if any of you got it right. Oh, look what slugs do. They make lots of slime to get away, don't they? Norman did the only thing a slug could do. He made slime, lots and lots of it. With a slither and a slaughter, a slip and a slide, Norman was free. But guys, you remember where Norman is now? He is way up, and now he's free. Uh-oh. Look, here comes the donut. And here comes Norman. He's falling. But he was falling faster and faster and faster until, oh my gosh, Blanc. Norman, are you okay? Asked the snails. Wow, said Norman. That was great. I love flying. If only I had wings. Do you guys see what's hanging on the wire next to Norman? Do you see anything that a snail might be able to reuse as wings, or a slug? A slug might be able to reuse as wings. Did you guess it right? Ta-da! And now he has wings. So here, Norman is reusing somebody's underwear as wings, isn't he? And he also reused a donut as a shell. He tried a tennis ball and an alarm clock and an apple, didn't he? And none of those worked, but he reused them in all different kinds of ways. The guinea pig's running around again down here. All right, guys. Bye. I'll talk to you soon. I hope you like this book.